Have you ever wondered if it's true that there's advantaged slot players? And if so, how do they do it? I'll give you a hint. I'll tell you it's not the way that I hear 99% of people that claim to beat slot machines. You can't beat them by playing at certain times of the day, going on different days of the week, betting strategies, by moving from machine to machine, or looking for patterns in the reels on what's coming up. That's just not how slot machines work. They are always random, but there are a couple scenarios that some slot machines can actually be beat. I know of 3 very specific methods on how you can beat slot machines, and it's actually backed by math and not conspiracy theories. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. I wanna get this out of the way right now. This isn't some get-rich-quick strategy. You're not gonna go to the casino after watching this video and just go win a huge jackpot. That's not how these work. This is more like counting cards, where you gain a very small advantage over time if you put in enough work and you play for long enough. In fact, there are people that use these strategies to become professional slot players. That's a real thing. Scenario 1 is the most obvious. They're called must-hit by slot machine. The idea is that there's a counter going, and the jackpot will always be won by the time the counter reaches a certain number. Usually it's shown in a dollar amount, like must hit by $500. Then the meter will rise, going up by like 1 cent every time you spin, or it'll go up a little bit every time you win something like that. If you sit down at a machine and it says must hit by $500 and it's at $100, the odds aren't very good. But if you sit at the same machine and it's at $499.99 and it must hit by 500, the odds are really darn good you're gonna win some money. It's that change in odds that makes being advantaged possible. Now, if you had the documentation on the machine, it'd be possible to calculate exactly when you're in the advantage. It's gonna depend on the machine's payout and how much is dedicated to that jackpot. So different machines are gonna have different break-even points. But let's just make up a number and say that it's at $450 out of 500. So if the counter is less than $450, the casino's in the advantage. If it's over $450, the player's in the advantage. As it gets closer and closer and closer to 500, the more advantage you have. So for this strategy, you'd walk around the casino and look for machines that are close to that must hit by amount. The problem though is, like I said, it's the most obvious. There's a lot of competition. People are gonna be watching those machines. As it gets closer and closer to that 500 mark, somebody's gonna be all over that machine. The next strategy is progressive jackpots. With a progressive jackpot, it gets bigger and bigger over time. The general idea is, let's say you had a lottery that it's 1 in a million to win and it costs $1. If the prize is below $1 million, the odds are against you. But as soon as it crosses that $1 million mark, it gets to 1,000,001, you're technically in the advantage. So if you play the same machine and the progresses $1,000 one day, and then it's like $6 million the next day, the odds to win to the jackpot haven't changed, but the amount has. Meaning the machine has a better payback as the jackpot grows. So just look for a machine that has an abnormally large jackpot compared to what it normally is. But you'd have to get really intimately familiar with what abnormally large is for that machine. You'd probably need to keep a log of the jackpot over the course of like months or years. You need to know what abnormally large means for that machine. Then you'd have to risk a huge amount of money to win very small amounts of money. Remember my example of 1 in a million and the prize being 1,000,001? That's not a very big advantage. You could put $1 million in and still not win. There's no guarantee you're gonna win before. You just have an advantage and the odds are in your favor. So for this to statistically guarantee a profit, you'd need to win hundreds of progressive jackpots, all with them being in an advantage state. And you can imagine what kind of bankroll you need to make that happen. But this is possible. There are professional slot players that target progressives. The last way that I know of is the best, in my opinion. This strategy is what I call goal-based slot machines. The idea is that you have to have a machine that you collect things and it doesn't reset after every spin. Like every time you get 50 gems, you enter the bonus round or something like that. I have to throw a disclaimer on this because people think this is the case with dancing drums. There's a bowl that fills up with coins, and people think that as the bowl fills up, they're more likely to win. But if you read the rules of the game, it's just a visual, it doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't affect the odds. For this strategy to work, you need an actual counter that says you've collected 37 out of 75 apples, or whatever it is. If you've collected 74 apples, you have much better odds than if the counter's reset and it's at 0. So you probably want to make a big list of all the games that have counters like this, and then go around and check each machine. Again, it's going to be nearly impossible to determine what the break-even point is, but the general concept still stands. This is, in my opinion, the best way for an average casual player to be advantaged. If you want to understand why all the other methods that people talk about don't actually work, I think that every slot player should watch this video here. It's really dense with information, but you have to watch it if you're ever going to understand how slots actually work. Before your next Vegas trip, get educated. Thanks for watching.